What's up, everyone? Eddie Mercado here with BloodyElbow.com, and I'm about to speak with the Glory Kickboxing Featherweight champion, Gabriel Varga, as he just recaptured his featherweight title at Glory 32 on July 22nd in Norfolk, Virginia. So we're going to give him a Skype and kind of see what, it feels like to recapture your title and sit on top of the world. So let's go ahead and Skype him.
Hey, Eddie. How
Hey,
are you?
what's happening? How you doing?
Oh, I'm great.
Oh, man. Mr. Varga, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Of course, of course.
Now, of course, the man, Lordy, Glory, 32, Norfolk, Virginia. What a show you put on. You recaptured your title. I mean, what an event. How does it feel, man? You're back home now in Canada, I assume?
Yeah. I just got back about 3, 4 days ago. We stuck around in Virginia and just to see the sights, and it just always makes sense to let the body rest a little bit before hitting that elevation. Going way up at 30,000 feet, everything swells up. So yeah, we got back a few days after, but just been resting up really.
Okay, now, what kind of sights did you see? It's really beautiful here in Virginia. What'd you get to see?
We did a little road trip down to North Carolina just because, we were right in the city. So we decided we want to rent a car and get out and just see a little bit more of the countryside. That's what my brother and I really like to do. Unfortunately, like a lot of times we do a lot of walking after, but my leg was just so swollen up that, there was no walking. It was mostly sitting in the car. We went and watched a AAA ball game just to get that American experience. I haven't done much of that sort of stuff, and then just checked out a lot of the restaurants. That was pretty much it. I did have to spend a couple hours each day just horizontal, trying to get my leg up in the air. And
How is the foot? I gotta ask. I saw it after the fight, and you and Sirhai, man, you were just going at it, and I don't know what happened, but it looked a little lumpy. I don't think feet are supposed to be lumpy. So
No, it's not. It came down surprisingly fast, but those first 2 days after the fight, they were pretty sore. It swelled up a decent amount. I think I threw a kick to his inside leg, which I wasn't supposed to do. My brother told me don't do that, and I caught his kneecap when he checked. I don't feel things during the fight usually, and I think a lot of people will relate to that. It doesn't with between the adrenaline and everything, it doesn't really click in until after. But yeah, it swelled up, locked up a little bit, and he also threw some nice low kicks to my back leg. He has that jump switch one that he does, but he's so odd the way like after the fight, I started touching everything that was sore, and everything was on bone. Like he kicked my inside leg, and usually it's the inside of the thigh is bruised. He kicked my kneecap, and then the low kick didn't land on the thigh; it landed just above my hip. And that's I have people conditioning my legs, specifically my back leg for this fight. I had people just sitting there chopping it after each training session. It was strong, it was conditioned, but I never thought of getting conditioned, in my hip bone. So it just locked up, my foot locked up. Took a couple days until the sort of nauseating pain went away, but it's gone now, so it's fine.
okay, good. Now, how'd you even get mixed up in kickboxing to begin with? I know your family has been real involved in martial arts. So is
Yeah,
that really the crux of how you came to be a martial artist yourself?
yeah, that's exactly it. My dad has a background in a number of martial arts. Mostly he started with Taekwondo, and then he transitioned to boxing when he sort of realized that it was just a little bit more realistic form of striking. And it was kind of similar with me. We started off in karate. My dad taught us when we were young before we started off in any gyms. And then once we started at an official gym, we spent about, I want to say almost 10 years doing just strictly karate. But during that karate phase, we kind of transitioned from traditional karate to point fighting to continuous sparring to full contact continuous, and then slowly transitioned into kickboxing over 3 or 4 years. Adding the low kicks, learning to take the depth of the stance and shrink it because you're always in these big wide stances because you don't have to worry about low kicks. And then getting the boxing going a little bit better. And yeah, I'd say about the time I was in my mid-teens, I was pretty much committed to kickboxing. And then it took me about 3 or 4 years till I kind of worked up the courage to step in the ring when I think in my first fight when I was 20. So yeah, it was just a very slow process. I used to watch K1 back in the day, see Mercado and Bacau and all those guys. And, I never had aspirations to reach this level. I just wanted to have a fight or two, maybe win a Canadian title after 5 or 6 fights at the most, and it just sort of snowballed from there.
Okay, and now, King of the Hill right now, Glory featherweight champion. What's it like? Glory has kind of taken you everywhere. I guess kickboxing, really. Tokyo, Milan, Dubai. Virginia. You've gone to the greatest places on earth. What is it like to kind of experience that as part of your career?
That's a bonus that a lot of people don't really think of, I guess. Just to be realistic, it's not a big money-making thing. Maybe if I was at a different weight class, and I'm going to work on, trying to promote the featherweights more and bring more money to the division. But, you're not going to get rich doing this. But my dad took me aside a number of times and just said, you know what, you're doing this because you love it. You're doing this because down the road when you open a gym, it will be beneficial. You'll have more people come and join the gym just because of what you've accomplished and they know your name. And you get to have all these experiences, just like you said, seeing the world, which when you start adding up the value of doing all the trips I've done, that in itself is a big perk. And the fact that I get to take my cornerman with me, who just happened to be my brother and one of my best friends, is another perk as well, because these guys have been there with me since my brother, obviously, since I was like 4 years old, wrestling around with me. And then my other training buddy, he started holding pads for me, I believe, I think it was 2009. He just one day, he's like, you know what? I want to help you. And if you want somebody to come in 3 times a week and hold pads specifically for you, I'll do it. And it's been about 7 years now. So, I don't have the financial means to just be throwing money at them like a high level world champion boxer. But being able to take them around and help them see the world as well is a big perk for me too.
Yeah, man, it seems like a pretty sweet gig, man.
It
definitely,
is.
Definitely awesome, and it's fun to kind of watch, vicariously to see you go off and compete all over the world. Now, so you won, you came into Glory, and you came in tournament style. You've already competed in 2 different tournaments. Can you kind of speak to what it's like to have to go through a tournament and fight multiple times in one night?
That was an interesting sort of point for me because I knew it was going to be extremely difficult to jump that boundary almost because, you're used to fighting once. And just like this fight that I just had on the weekend, granted that was 5 rounds instead of a normal 3 round when you do a tournament. But, I walked out of there and I was just going, man, imagine these guys like Bacau and Mercado. Mercado, when you look back at him, fighting 9 rounds, he just took some of the worst beatings in K1 ever. And I'm just going, man, I felt like after that fight, I could have spent 24 hours just laying flat. I was going, he must have spent like a week in the hospital after, or maybe he's just insanely tough. I don't know. But I did hear rumors after those tournaments, he was in the hospital for a week or a couple of weeks. And I believe it because, both my tournament experiences were so positive. When I was in Japan, my very first fight card with Glory ever, I went over there and, I never fought for Glory. Was going in against the 3 or 4 guys in the world that I already knew of who were considered the best. And I was going, man, I don't know what I'm getting myself into here. Am I gonna walk out broken? Like, is this going to break me tonight? Or is it going to be, I just didn't really know. And I walked out pretty much uninjured, which was amazing. I was in Tokyo. I got to go around and see the sights for about 3 days. And same thing when I was in LA for that contender tournament. Next day, I was completely fine. I didn't feel like I'd really done more than 1 fight. But when you hear those guys in the past doing 3 fights, then that boggles my mind. And I've been offered a couple of times to compete in 8-man tournaments, and I have no interest in it now unless unless somebody said, the prize money is 200 grand, and I could go, oh, okay, I'm going to fight and then take 6 months off or something to rest up. But you hear those guys in the past, fighting 2 8-man tournaments plus a couple other fights per year. Oh, crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. Now, you won the featherweight contender tournament, and then you went on to win the title. In the same year, in the next fight, you ended up losing the title to Sir Hi Adam Chuck. Can you kind of go through the emotional roller coaster involved with kind of winning the title and then losing the title?
One of the things I'm really happy with myself is I'm very level-headed. I don't get extremely excited when these great things happen, and in the same token, I don't really, if something bad happens, I don't just plummet. So, obviously I was super excited winning the contender tournament. That was kind of a breakthrough night for me. And then beating on Ronnie again was a highlight. The worst thing that happened to me was just, I've talked about it with a number of people now, just getting that belt and sort of being content with it and just going, oh, okay, I don't really know where to go from here. There's nowhere else to go up. I've always been aiming up, up, up. And, I won the belt. I was happy. I wasn't on cloud nine or anything. I mean, I'd sort of been anticipating that I would get there, so it didn't seem too foreign. It wasn't a surprise. I had been expecting it. But then when I got it, I just felt the sort of energy for kickboxing, my enthusiasm was kind of plateaued, which was new for me. And when I trained for Adam Chuck the first time, every day when I woke up, I didn't have that spark to go push myself to do my running, and I'd go and do pads, and I wasn't really enjoying it. So I started changing my focus to how much money I was getting each training session, kind of figuring out what my purse would be and dividing it by each training session and be like, oh, okay, I'm heading off to run right now, but at least I'm getting paid this much to run. And it didn't suit me. That's not a good way to go about it. As soon as they raised his hand back in November and I had that loss, right away, I was just like, I want back in the ring right now. And I got myself a fight in China and went back to training, I think a week or two after that first loss, and went back to loving it again. And it just carried right over into this camp. I was enthusiastic to be training, obviously super motivated. And I didn't really have an emotional roller coaster up and down like most people might about losing a belt, because for some reason when I went there, I don't know why I couldn't shake the feeling, but I was almost expecting to lose it that time. When I went to Dubai, I was expecting to win it. This time when I went there, I was expecting to come back with it. I was still super happy with the result because it was a frustrating, hard fight. But when I lost it, I really wasn't that disappointed. I was in Milan. I went, you know what? I'm going to have 3 or 4 days to go around and sightsee here. I went around. I was happy. After I watched the fight, I got a little frustrated because then I saw how much clenching was happening, and I was really annoyed that no point was taken off. But aside from that, it was just all a little odd that I wasn't too upset. So, I'm happy now, but I know I have to stay level-headed, and now the new goal is going to be not to plateau again and not to get comfortable with being the champion again. So I have somebody in town who works with me on my mental prep, and she did a lot of work with me for this fight because one of the big things that I realized last time when I fought them was I was a little uncomfortable fighting somebody from Mike's gym. That was something for me. I just went, I've fought good fighters in the past, but I've never fought somebody from one of the most famous gyms in the world with a really famous trainer. And for some reason, I found it a little intimidating. So, I had to work on that. And next time, I'm going to work on not being content being the champion. I need to keep that belt, and there'll be some work there, and have to put some hours going in and getting quite emotional and talking through it all. But it's worth it in the end.
Now, what led to you taking a fight outside of Glory in China?
I like to protect my head, and I don't like fighting that often in the past. But it was just getting a little ridiculous with the gaps between fights. I fought. I'm trying to think now. when I first started with Glory, I had a fight in May and then followed up quite quickly with one in October. But then once I fought in October 2013, I didn't fight again until June 2014. So that's a substantial gap. I keep
Right.
training, but people talk about ring rust. I'm not sure I believe in it, but still, it's always in your mind, and you're just like, oh, I haven't fought in a while. And then after that, so that was June. I didn't fight for the belt until April. No fights in between that time again. So we're talking, 10-month gap, 10-month gap again. And then after that, it was April to November. Again, we're talking another big gap. And then this time, if I hadn't have fought, it would have been November all the way to July. So these are big, long breaks in between fights. And I decided I needed to tie in with somebody else so I could aim for at least 3 fights a year. So I'm not having these 8 to 10-month gaps in between fights because, you get guys like Adam Chuck or Ronnie, and they're fighting usually more frequently, and you kind of go, oh, I've fought once since, or if I didn't go to China, it would have been no time since November, and Adam Chuck would have had, I think, 2 or 3 fights, and you just don't want any extra little psychological things in your mind where you're worrying about that sort of thing, He's had 3 fights, I've had none. Is he going to be sharper than me? So just tying in with heroes over there has allowed me to be a little more consistent with training, first of all, motivation, and just making sure that, I feel really comfortable when I get in the ring and the timing's there.
Did you have to clear that with Glory, or you just went on your own and did that?
Yeah, I definitely had to clear it with Glory. I have a contract with them, and Glory's always my priority. They are the guys who have sort of built me up, gave me the shot to get to where I am. So I always appreciate that, and I want to make sure they're happy with me. But I also do have in my contract that everything has to be cleared, and I talked with them and got it all sorted out, and then I flew all the way to China after I had it all cleared, and I showed up there and I look across the room. We hadn't seen one white person where we had been in China. We're at this beautiful resort. I start looking around the room when I'm getting there for weigh-ins, and I see a white guy, and I'm like, wait, I know that guy. That's Eric Haycraft from Gloria, and he was there. And then I noticed Cor Hemmers was there, and they didn't tell me they were coming. They just showed up, and they're like, we wanted to check out the promotion and watch you fight. And okay, well, that's no extra pressure. These guys just flew from Europe and Thailand to come and watch just specifically me fight. But they were ringside there, and I had a good performance, so it all worked out for the best. But you always have to stay loyal to Glory and respect their rules. So
okay,
they're trying to build fighters, and you want all the Glory fighters to be the best in the world. So if you go off to other promotions and lose, it doesn't look good. But I have no intention of losing, so it's all fine.
Awesome. Now, Glory 32, you recaptured your title. Very exciting bout. I see you got stitched up nicely. How many stitches did it take?
This is the first time they actually used adhesive medical super glue. So I don't have any stitches, so I couldn't actually tell you how many there would have been. I'm guessing it would have been 3-4 per side, but he didn't actually say. I was just down there after the fight, and I just went, it's so frustrating with headbutts because you're just like, oh man, if there were just no illegal blows, I could have just walked out of there looking all pretty and not having to deal with this. And when you're in the States, it's just so different. In Dubai, I got cut. Milan, I got cut right after they take care of you. You're in the States as a Canadian, and you got to go to the hospital, and then you get a bill after. For last time it happened to me, I got a bill for $1,000, and luckily the promoter covered it, but it took a lot of time to get all that sorted out. So I decided, if I didn't need to go to the hospital, I wasn't going to bother. And fortunately, he said, what, these cuts aren't that deep. If one of my cornermen pinched it nice and tight, and he put the glue over, and he was quite happy with the way it turned out. And then I came back home, and I have a couple associates in town who are fortunately, one's a plastic surgeon, another one's an ocular plastic surgeon. So they're really good with the stitches, and they took a look at them and said, you know what, those are actually pretty good, and we don't have to rip it off and redo it. So yeah, it was nice. You know, I can't remember now, probably close to 30 stitches over the eyebrows now, and I think about 20 or 25 of them are from headbutts. And it just happens. It's something about I guess my pressure and other guys when they start pushing forward a little bit, we end up clashing heads. Had a couple times where I think people have done it on purpose, but for the most part, they're accidents. So, what you gonna do?
It's an unfortunate part of the game for sure. Now, at Glory 32, did you get to watch any of the fights from the night?
No, I didn't. I'm odd. I have a set of a number of routines that I go through before a fight, and one of them is I don't watch fights 3 weeks before I fight. First of all, I don't enjoy it, and second of all, I just find it it just drains me just watching and knowing that I'm going to be doing the same thing. So if there's a TV, you know, sometimes in Glory they have a TV live of the other fights, and I never watch. Everybody else is watching, cheering away, and I'm usually in the corner with like a T-shirt over my eyes with Jack Johnson on the headphones and trying to block everything else out and stay as calm as I can. So yeah, I didn't get to see any of the fights being the main event. Usually I can, you know, throw some jeans on and run back out and watch the fights live once I've won. But yeah, in this case it was fight and then night over.
Okay. Did you get a chance to go back and watch any of them?
I did go back and watch. Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't seen them all yet, but I mean, I've had so many fights to catch up on between kickboxing and MMA and boxing, which I like watching too. So yeah, I've definitely had a few evenings now where I've just been hunkered down watching some stuff that I missed over the last 3 weeks.
I definitely can relate to that.
Now, yeah, there's always lots.
Now, earlier in that evening, very exciting bout with Giga Chikadze. Are you familiar with this guy? Have you been paying attention to him? This is a violent guy. I mean, he fights viciously. He's a Javier Cordero dude. What are your thoughts on him?
I don't know too much about him. The main reason I know him is there's a guy over in Vancouver. Well, Josh Johnsey, most people know him. But then there was another guy over there who came to train with Josh and I once, Ken Tran. And I just know him from traveling to China with him in the past for an event. And he fought Giga. I think his first fight in Glory, and ended up losing to him. So that's how I knew him initially. And then I saw that he'd moved down to my weight class because he was fighting heavier then. So aside from that, I haven't watched too much of his fights. I think my brother checked out a few of his videos after, just because his name got mentioned. But I don't usually bother watching anybody's fights until I actually know I'm fighting them, and then the research starts, and then I'll watch pretty much all their fights. Just so I'm really comfortable with them. But yeah, my brother said, yeah, my brother watched it, and yeah, honestly isn't that concerned. He's usually the guy who tells me, you know, we've got a hard fight here or not. Everybody has certain styles that make a fight, and I think him and I, from what my brother says, would have a good fight, an aesthetically pleasing fight. And if it happens, that's what I want now. You know, I'm done with Adam Chuck for a little bit. That was within like the past year now, just training, knowing that I'm going to be getting into an actual fight, and it's not going to look good, and I really don't enjoy that. So if Giga and I fight, at least I know it's not going to be a mess.
Okay. Now, are you in a position to where you pick your next opponent, or are you leaving it up to Glory and kind of whoever wins the upcoming featherweight contender tournament will be the guy you face? Or would you like to fight before the winner of that tournament is ready?
I haven't actually talked with Glory yet. You know, they sent their congratulations to my dad, who's my manager. So I just got the news, you know, from them more or less. Aside from that, it's just been a quiet week so far. I haven't worried about planning anything else out, except for sparking up conversations with heroes in China, because I have a belt there as well that I would like to defend before I go back to Glory. You know, I know their schedule, and I know they don't have an event in August. September, I won't be fighting. I'd be surprised if they have anything for me in October. So for them, because they have a number of other fighters and a limited amount of events, I don't think I'll be looking at any fights with them until November, December, maybe even into the new year. But I'm really going to push for another one this year because I haven't had Christmas off in a long time. And my family always heads up to a beach community up north where we rent a house and do surfing and stuff. And this year, I just don't want to be training.
Okay.
It takes away from the magic of it all. So I'm going to be pushing for something in September, October in China, and then something November, December with Glory. And in regards to opponents, it would be nice to have a little bit of say, but we'll see what their plan is at the moment. That tournament might just dictate my next opponent. Maybe they'll let me put in my 2 cents. But yeah, I haven't actually talked with them, so I don't really know anything.
Okay. Now, if you did have your say and you could put in your 2 cents, who would you want to fight? Would you want to fight Giga?
I would have to take a look around. The division at the moment isn't too stacked. I would like to see some new guys brought in. I think Giga, I think my brother said he's 3-1. I believe he lost to the guy that Ronnie beat. I think that's what happened. So, Adam Chuck. I fought Adam Chuck. Adam Chuck fought a guy named Azar, I want to say something. He's also ranked in the Glory rankings there. I think he might be above Giga, and he defeated Giga. So it's always hard to know. There's this guy. There's Giga there. There's a guy who beat him, and then Adam Chuck beat that guy. So I don't really know how you go about picking opponents. I still think one of the best guys in the division is Mosab. I'm always up for a good fight, and I know last year we got nominated for Fight of the Year, and I think we could do even better on another fight. I think Mosab, if they could throw him any opponent right now, aside from Adam Chuck, I think Mosab would win. I like Mosab. Chatted with him after. He's a nice guy. He's a great competitor. So I'd like to see some of those other guys fight Mosab and see if they can get by him. Then I'll be ready. If they can't, I wouldn't mind a rematch with him because just stylistically, it is nice to give fans a good fight, and the two of us will do that. So yeah, we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you have any idea who's going to be in the featherweight tournament at Glory, New Jersey?
No idea. No, I haven't even talked to them at all about that. So I'll be interested to see what they have planned there and the way it all plays out. But it'll be fun finally to sit back and watch because I haven't been the champion and had the privilege of getting to enjoy one of those nights where I can just sit back and see who I might be fighting.
Are you going to be in attendance in New Jersey?
Probably not because I don't take a lot of breaks in between training camps, and I'm not a big fan of scooting off in the middle when I'm training for a fight. So by then, I'll assume I'll be underway for training, and to fly all the way over and fly back is not something I like to do. So I'll probably just be watching from home. I got lots of buddies here who've been training with me for a long time, so we just usually get together and watch it as a group, have some fun, and that to me is a perfect night.
Awesome, man. Well, you got any sponsors you want to give a shout out to, or any people you want to thank?
Yeah, I had Hayabusa this camp. They were great. They sent me some official Glory gloves and the shorts and all the other benefits that go with being sponsored by them. So that was fantastic. I really appreciate that because you go into a fight and there's so many unknown little things, and if you can have even just had the exact same pair of gloves on before you fight, you put the gloves on, you're like, I know these gloves. It's just something else that is helpful. So yeah, they took care of me for this fight, which was great. I'm going to be working now. I'm not great about going on the hunt for sponsorship and all that social media stuff. And I've been pushing hard over the last year to try and be a little bit more relevant on Facebook and all these other sites. And going to be pushing now for some more sponsorship. So hopefully next time I fight, I'll have more sponsors to thank than Hayabusa. But yeah, I have so many people have helped me now throughout the years. Friends and family and local businesses just helped me out. But yeah, there's just too many people to thank. I'll do some posts soon and thank them there.
Okay. What are your handles? You got like a Twitter? You got a Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram team Gabriel Varga. On Facebook, it's Gabriel Varga official. I can't even remember which one it is on Twitter. Social media is not my forte. People always tease me. I don't have a phone. I don't have a cell phone, and it kind of makes all that sort of stuff hard because you're out for your run and it's like, oh well, maybe I would snap a picture, but I don't have a phone. So my wife has been really good this time. Glory was giving me props after, and a number of other people like, oh, you did a really good job on posting this time and keeping fans up to date with what was happening. And I just sort of laughed and went, well, that was mostly my wife. If she was around when I was running or something, she'd do a video and then ask me what I wanted to say. So yeah, that all goes to her.
On Twitter, at Varga Bros.
There we go.
At Varga Bros. Go check him out. Gabriel Varga, Glory Featherweight champion, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to me. I really look forward to your next fight, and let us know when you know who you're going to face.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Eddie.
Thank you, sir. You have a good one.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. So there you have it, guys. The Glory Kickboxing Featherweight champion, Gabriel Varga. Go check him out. He's up in Canada in his homeland right now, getting set to take on whoever he's about to face, an unknown opponent. There is a Glory Featherweight Contender Tournament September 9th. It's going to be in Trenton, New Jersey, I believe. Go check that out. Read Bloody Elbow for your full event coverage, interviews, news, updates, the whole nine. You can follow me on Twitter at @TheEddieMercado. And be a good person.